All right. Looks like we are setting up, getting online. How are you, Teresa?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Matt?
I am very excited to hear your story and kind of share with the real estate community that follows me and follows you. You're a very busy person. So as we let people get started and join us, I'm going to play a quick video. Sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Matt Curcio has been selling real estate in New Jersey since 2001. He's been recognized as a top 10 individual team leader for RE/MAX multiple times. Matt was the first eXp Realty broker in New Jersey to receive the prestigious Icon Agent Award. Matt is recognized as an industry expert and continues to support agents in the real estate community by hosting trainings for realtors locally and across the country. Welcome to the show, and here's Matt Curcio.
All right. So that usually gives us a couple minutes, a couple seconds or whatever to get people on here to start watching and chiming in for us. So for those who don't know, Teresa, why don't you share a little bit about yourself? You know, my following and your following is probably more real estate related. So share with everybody your experience in real estate and, you know, what got you to the level of, 75 homes a year.
Okay. So I've been a real estate agent for almost 13 years. I got in 2009, right after everything was crashing. So I was thrown in at a time where I had to learn the hard way because there wasn't a whole lot happening in real estate. So right off the bat, I was, getting training to, do short sales and foreclosures and anything that would benefit, my situation. So I was definitely thrown in during a time when I was taught to be tough, I guess. And then over the years, I just kind of progressed slowly, I would say, in just trying to figure out real estate. And I remember reading a book one time, and it said something about in order to be an expert in something, you have to be in it for at least 10 years or 10,000 hours or something along those lines. So it's like, okay, I was having a lot of ups and downs. I was very on the fence about staying in real estate or finding something else that I was better at. And I was like, I'm going to give it 10 years. No matter what, I'm going to stick to it for 10 years. And probably about the 11th year was whenever I hit the tipping point. And that was the name of the book, by the way, by Maxim Gladwell. It was called Tipping Point. And
if I remember correctly, it is 10,000 hours to become an expert in any industry, field, whatever. It's you hit that 10,000 hours, which on a normal work week is somewhere close to 10 years. You know, people break it down to 5 years if I work 60, 70, 80 hours, whatever. But yeah, 10,000 hours, that's an awesome point.
So, yeah. So right about that time, there was a lot going on in my personal life around that time. Some major health issues, all kinds of, just things that made me realize that I had to make a shift really quickly if I was going to get out of this hole that I was in. I actually went to one of Tony Robbins' Masterminds or whatever in Miami. And when I came back with a mission. I knew that if I stayed on the same path that I was on, that I would never be a great mom for my kids, that I'd never really have much more than, kind of a minimum wage type life. I would never be healthy. And at that point, I had just found out also that I was in heart failure and I had to do something fast or else, I could potentially not be around for my kids. So I came back with a mission. And when I came back, I was super focused, super driven, and just ready to hit it as hard as I possibly could in real estate. And that's what I did. I got insanely focused. I lost some friends in the process. That's what happens. People that don't understand your focus, they don't understand not having your attention anymore and stuff like that. But nobody was coming to save me. Nobody was going to pay my bills. Nobody was going to turn this around for me. So I had to make that decision for myself. And that's kind of when I really made the shift and started doing a lot every year.
Okay. So, well, first of all, tell everybody where you're from too. What market do you cover?
Yeah, I'm in Lafayette, Louisiana, way down south.
Yeah, so I got some friends down there. Awesome. Louisiana is awesome. So I love it. I may come visit soon, actually, at the end of the month. My buddy told me so. But so tell us, you went through that growth phase, right? And learning the business, doing on the transaction treadmill, I assume, right? So many transactions a year, making your bills, and then trying to get to that next level of business operator. And then that, Tony Robbins ignited that fire to say, I got to do this. There's a better way, right?
Yeah.
So, what changed in your business? Because there's a lot of realtors that do that. They burn the midnight oil. They don't have systems and processes and things in place to kind of get structured, right? So what were the first few things that you did, to switch and share, I guess, the transaction amounts before and then after? So what did you kind of go from and to?
I would say before I was probably doing between, 20 and 30 a year. So I was getting by, paying the bills, but, it wasn't a great life necessarily. And then now I'm doing, 70, 75 deals on and off market. So between wholesaling, actual real estate transactions as a real estate agent, and flipping houses too. Yeah. So pretty big drastic difference. I think when I came back, I just got hyper focused. So I started, my schedule is everything. And I really just, I time block everything. And so I got super focused on the time blocking, and I stopped allowing interruptions. I just kind of I got off of social media. Like there's so many different things that I did from, just not allowing people to interrupt my time, including my mother, by the way, who would just come over because apparently to some people, real estate isn't a real job. Like, you're just, retired and staying home and eating bonbons all day. Yeah. And she would just walk in the front door. So I had to set boundaries with people. Like, you cannot call me or text me until 4:00 in the afternoon. And it was serious. Like, for me, it was a serious time because I was in a bad position, So, I did a lot of time blocking. And I have a whole list of stuff that I do, but everything from quitting drinking 100% by choice, not because, I had some kind of a problem, but it was because it was going to benefit my life. Working out every day, meal prepping my food. You name it. There's so many different things that I did to change my situation. Stopped watching TV, everything.
So, yeah. So take somebody through what in your life, right? Because I've done time blocking for agents, right? We just use color codes, right? Pink is personal time. So if somebody was working out, I'd say that's personal time, but put it in your day, and then all that kind of stuff. What worked for you? Because, look, I'll be honest, to go to close 6 deals a month or more, right? Because 75 is a little bit more than that. So you're going to look at a lot of paperwork. And, I know agents that sell 2 houses a month that can't keep up with the paperwork, right? And part of it is their, creation of problems and being too overanalyzed in deals. But what does time blocking look? When do you do it? What's your favorite system for that?
Okay, so I'll kind of run through everything, and then if I get off track or start squirreling, just let me know. Ask me a question. Yeah. So this is kind of how it all starts kind of at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of the year, I'll make a list of my goals for the year, and this is literally the little note card with all my goals for the year that I just stick on my nightstand so that when I wake up every morning, I see my little list of goals, right? And I try to, do it for different areas of my life, for myself, like my health and, for my relationships with my family, for work, for finances, all of that. And if you look at the goals, you'll realize real quick that there's basically tasks that you can do every day or that are required every day in order to get to these goals. So for instance, if I want to lose, if I want to get down to 135 pounds, I know that I've got to work out every day and I've got to meal prep because we're real estate agents. If we're on the road and we don't have food, we're going to eat gas station food, McDonald's, whatever. And I can't, that's not an option. So all those little things, all those little tasks that are required to get to these goals every day are what matters. So then I'll take those tasks and I'll just kind of make a weekly schedule like this. Okay. So on one of these blank weekly schedules, I'll go in and I'll put in the things that I have to do. Like I have to sleep. I have to commute or whatever, the things that you know that are just kind of in place already, you just go in and stick those in. And then from there, you stick in like all the tasks that you have to do every day to get to these goals as well. And like with real estate, for instance, we know that we have to do some level of, marketing and lead generation. And then we have to make at least like 20 phone calls a day and then negotiate contracts and things like that. Mm-hmm. So those things are time blocked into different things every day. So like marketing and lead gen, follow-up phone calls, negotiating contracts and appointments. So I allow a different amount of time each day for that. And then I just stick to those times. So like if 9 to 10 is my marketing and lead generation time, then I am doing it. And that is, but after that time is up, I'm done. I move on to the next thing because there's only so much time in a day to get the things done that you have to get done and you have to move on. So it's more of a slow and steady wins the race. A little bit each day will get to your goal versus like just trying to do everything and be successful all at once because it's impossible. You can't. You have to do it over time. But then another thing that I do after I look at this and put everything in is I try to outsource as much as possible to give myself more free time. Yeah. So one of the very first things that I outsourced was my paperwork because I hate doing paperwork. It's so time consuming. Yeah. And if I was doing paperwork all day long, then I wouldn't be negotiating deals. I wouldn't be making enough phone calls. So that was the first thing to go. The very first person I ever hired in this process was a transaction coordinator to handle all of my paperwork. So that's a big deal.
So let's just chat on that a little bit. So for realtors, they get bogged down in that transactional process. And I've heard it over and over again. You can't make $1 million salary or, whatever, $250,000 salary doing $10 to $20 an hour work. And that's the truth. Now for the new realtors that have to evolve into 3 to 6 settlements a month, where that's when you have a business. There's a time that you can afford that, right? But initially, it may not be affordable, but that should be a goal to put that into place. Where did you go to find, transaction coordination? Do you do it locally? Do you outsource it to a third party?
I love outsourcing things to a third party. And here's why. Because I might hire, Jane Doe from Lafayette, and I might hire her for a while and she might do a good job for a while and I have to train her. And that's very time consuming for me and I don't have time to do it. And then she might find something that's more lucrative, or she might become a real estate agent because most of them do. And then she moves on and then I've got to do it again. So I prefer to outsource things to companies that's their job. Their job is to provide a transaction coordinator. So they're training them. They're making sure that they're managed. They're, the one overseeing. And if something happens with that person, then they're replacing that person for me. So I prefer the third party. I think the first one that I used was actually it was in Florida and they kind of worked on the South. But now there is a local company that has just TCs for real estate agents because they're so needed. And so that's really nice because my girl is still local, but she is managed and, her company is not me. Yeah. So I don't have to manage it, And
cost wise, what can agents expect from these companies in your experience?
So they charge at the end of the transaction and it's $250 per transaction. Yeah. Now, if I am going to make $5,000 to $10,000 on a transaction, I could care less about $250 to help me. That's amazing. It's a deal.
Yeah. That's where, again, you're scaling, right? You're trying to set, for the agents watching, like that's where you turn around and say, this is a business expense. I am better talking to the consumer versus talking and handling paperwork and creating files. Most companies are now have an online filing system that has to, takes hours to put the data into. And when you can, have that outsourced, it will make you a lot more productive. So you have your goal, you have your weekly worksheet, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about personal life, right? So I understand, and probably the agents have been told, you got a time block, you got to do this, but nobody ever time blocks their personal lives. So
I do.
What does that look like for someone who works out an hour and a half a day? That's amazing. Mm-hmm. So what is the goal weekly for that? 5 children. I have 3. So I've been through a lot with that, but at the end of the day, what does that look like on a time management scale? And when do you shift off and have to move things, and how do you accommodate all that, those changes, right? So, go ahead.
Okay. So these 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, they're mine.
Yeah.
So unless I have to do something for real estate, I will. If it's really a necessity, like if there's, my best friend and it's our perfect house and it just hit the market today, well, yeah, I'm going to go. But for the most part, I try to save that time for my personal life, for my home life. And I try to kind of like have a list or, some kind of idea of what I'm going to be doing during that time, so it's not wasted. So in other words, on the weekends, instead of just like waking up and being like, oh, let me get some coffee and get some breakfast and I don't know what we're going to do today. But no, I try to make it productive home time. So it's like time with the family, go on an outing, or I'll plan to organize a drawer or, whatever, work in the backyard. But I try to make use of that time efficiently so that during the week, I'm not feeling the pressure of, oh, I haven't had any time at home. I haven't washed laundry in 3 weeks. All these different things. Not that I even washed my own laundry, because everything is pretty much outsourced at this point. But so, and then in the evenings after 5, 6 o'clock, I'm pretty much shutting off. Like my phone is there. And if somebody texts me, it's an important thing, then I'll text them back or call them back if I need to. But I've already shifted. After 5 o'clock, I've shifted into family time. We're doing dinner. We're doing homework. I'm putting the kids to bed. And then after the kids are in bed, then I'm spending time with my spouse, because I don't want them to feel neglected. I think that real estate agents are one of the top industries for divorce. So like, it's pretty important. Yeah. So it's kind of an important thing, to make sure that you're making time for your spouse, especially because being that we are entrepreneurs, like check yourself, that your spouse is helping you. They are your personal assistants sometimes, so like they need that appreciation and to be valued and to have that time cut out for them. So yeah, we definitely do date nights. Like I have my kids every other weekend. So the weekends when they're gone, it's almost like a date weekend. Like we might go out to eat. We might even like take a trip to New Orleans and like right now we're not taking too many trips to New Orleans, but just kind of get away from the house, like get away so that we can wind down and not do, tasks or chores and like hang out together. So
right.
I hope that helps.
So tell us about the kid part, right? Because people are sitting back saying, look, 5 kids and she still sells 6 houses a month. So what is it, and I don't know the ages, but like take us through your evolving of that, right? Because kids and sports and all that stuff, that runs parents ragged without being an independent contractor, right? Without being a salesperson. So what things like helped you evolve and say, all right, I got to structure these kids into this, and this is what works for my business, and to get where you are today?
Okay, so I think that there's a few different things, I think that we all struggle as parents with guilt. We feel a lot of guilt about not being the person that picks up our kids at school, about not being the person that drop off their kids at school, about not being there for every single freaking event that comes up, because until COVID, there was like an event every week that we had to be at, right? So I think that a lot of it is partially letting go of guilt. So for instance, in the mornings, I do help my kids get dressed. And so I am there. I'm 100% there with them. So in the morning when they get up, I am brushing teeth, getting them dressed. I am fixing hair. I'm doing braids. I'm doing all this stuff. But then when it's time to go out the door, I'm not driving them to school. Someone else is driving them to school. Right now it's Kevin. So obviously for y'all, those who don't know me, Kevin is my spouse. So he's able to help. And we kind of run our lives like a business too. It's like, okay, what tasks can you do? And what are you good at? And what can you take over? And what am I good at? So everybody's got tasks and they're all fully aware of what their tasks are. And because I need more time in the gym in the morning, he's driving them off to school. I'm helping getting them dressed. So I am fully present when I'm with them. And the same thing happens in the afternoon. At first they were going to aftercare because, hey, I needed that time to work. But then we made a decision during COVID, because it was really difficult with the masking and the staying 6 feet apart and all that that they would just come home and do homework. But again, Kevin is the one that's bringing them home and doing homework. So I definitely have a lot of support in that, area. But these were decisions that we made along the way. Like, what is going to be the most efficient, the most lucrative, like the best decisions for our family. And so it did evolve over time. And believe it or not, before COVID, Kevin was also working full time. And so that was chaotic. That was crazy. And well, I say full time. He was a legal videographer, but during COVID, that whole field kind of disappeared. So then it was like, well, why don't you start picking up these things so that I can do better, so that I can make more? And so that's kind of the direction we shifted. And it's just been the most magical balance that we've ever had. And I don't ever want to go back to where we were before, believe it or not.
Right. And you don't know anything about my story, but I took full custody of my kids when they were 5 and 6. And that, it was funny because I was building my team shortly thereafter. And, I used to have some parents tell me, oh yeah, that were on my team, like, oh, you don't know, I have to go do the kids stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I actually do, but you're just not paying attention. Like, I have full custody, and, the aftercare and not being able to afford it, or what do I afford? And I had admins that were doing, my interview with my admins when my kids were that young was simply, okay, so you're the admin for the office, but you're also a babysitter. And there's times when you're going to go take my kids to my house, and that's going to be more effective while I'm in the office trying to sell it. At the time I was probably doing 50 to 60 deals a year. I need to sell this to afford everything and, help these kids have a good future. So, that was my thing. Right. And that's what kind of helped me go through the growth. And then eventually, I got married and all that stuff. And now it's kind of a partnership to do all the other stuff. And my wife deserves enormous credit because she does most of it now. And the kids are teenagers, so now they're just different. So It's a lot easier as they get older. But
well, my hat's off to you, because I will say that full custody is a different ball of wax. Like, my life with having them gone every other weekend is like a vacation every other weekend, to regroup, to recenter, to regain my sanity. So that is even harder, but the thing is, it's how bad do you want it? And so if you want it bad enough, then you'll figure out the how, it'll just fall into place.
And that happened for us because it started with 50-50 custody. And then when I took full custody, it went to 0. And we used to have every other weekend together. So it put stress on everything. Right. But, figure it out, you'll find a way. Right. Yeah. So I love time management because agents simply don't do it. A lot of them, right? They do a little bit of it. So tell me, with the workout stuff, right? You're into fitness. I can't, I try to stay fit. I do a good job with my eating to keep my weight current, but, and I still play sports. So that's my activities. But what keeps you so focused on an hour and a half a day in the gym? And do you ever cheat on it?
No, I don't ever cheat. And so one thing I'll say is that in order to pull off the volume that I'm able to pull off, and to put in the amount of work, and to stay as sharp and fast and efficient as I am every day in my business, it is vital that I work out. I have to be able to stay healthy. I have to be able to stay fit. I have to be able to not get sick, by the way, because how many days did we lose a year by getting sick? So I have some tricks to even not get sick, So, I mean, all of that being said, I guess is no, I don't cheat. But here's the thing. Last year, I would probably work out about 45 minutes every day. And it was okay. It was a decent workout. I mean, I was pretty fit, but I was never really getting to that goal. It was kind of the same tipping point, I think, even for what I went through in my real estate business. It was trying to figure out that tipping point with my physique and all that, because I was I'm working out. I feel like I'm doing okay, but I'm just not getting there. I'm just not looking like I want to. I'm just not getting as physically fit as I want to. And so at the beginning of this year, I decided to try 75 Hard. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, just go to www.75hard.com. It's a completely free program. You can read about it. You can listen to the podcast. But basically, the deal is this. Every single day, you have to do one inside 45-minute workout, one outside 45-minute workout, drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a book, follow a diet plan, and you can't drink alcohol, which I didn't already do. And that's pretty much it. But I have an app on my phone for the thing. So as I go through each one, I check it off. Now, the thing about 75 Hard, if there's one day that you miss any one of those things, then you have to start all over again. So you better believe that I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And, the fitness, I didn't do it for the fitness side of it, really. I did it more for the mindset thing because, like, when I came back from that Tony Robbins event several years ago, I was on a mission and I felt very focused. And I think that I lost some of that and I was looking for it again. So I wanted a mental shift more than anything. But what I gained from it was, yes, a mental shift, but my body is incredible. Like I am amazed at what the human body can do, not just mine, but I've had a lot of other people jump on board and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this is even possible. But then also it's like, I'm flabbergasted by even what I am able to do as a person, like what you're, mentally able to pull off if you get in a mindset to do it and know that no matter what, you have to do it. So that's the cool thing about this. No matter what, you have to do every single thing every day. So there have been days when I ran in 29-degree weather. There have been days that I ran in the rain. There have been days whenever I couldn't do it till 10 o'clock at night. There have been nights that I stayed up because I had to finish my water. And here's the thing. Once you start doing that, you want to do it in every area of your life. It's like, okay, how do I do this? How do I, no matter what, how do you get this done every day? No matter what, how do you get a deal every day? Like, what do you have to do? What are the tasks that you have to do that you must get done before the end of the day in order to be successful? So it just starts to bleed into every single area of your life. And like, I'll never stop doing it. It was a challenge at first. Now it's a lifestyle. I will never quit doing that. But I get up at 4:30 in the morning so that I can do all this. Yeah. I get up at 4:30 and read my 10 pages because in my mind, I'm like, I got to get it done early so that it's done and I don't have to stay up till 11 o'clock doing this stuff. So I get up at 4:30, I read my 10 pages, I do my inside workout, and then I do my outside workout. I drink my water throughout the day. I meal prep so that my food is perfect and I don't drink. So, that was never an issue because I had already been far used to that.
You do have to stick to a diet. So what diet did you pick?
Yes. So the diet that I picked was actually a diet that I was given for a 6-week challenge at a kickboxing club here. And I just decided to keep doing it because it was a really good diet. But here's the thing that I figured out really quickly. It wasn't enough calories for the amount of work that I'm doing every day. So an hour and a half workout every day burns for me about between 2,700 and 3,000 calories. So after about a week or two, I was really hitting walls. And so we had to, and thank God Kevin is so, health-based. He was just able to go, okay, we have to adjust your carbs. And so everything is tracked, like from my watch, from my Garmin and my phone, from apps. So he can see exactly how much I'm burning, what I'm eating, like he puts it all in, and that all my macros are perfect so that I don't keel over.
That's awesome, right? You have Kevin. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And I guess first of all, the 75 Hard thing, Andy Frisella, do you use his supplements too?
No, I haven't gotten that far, but I'm working on building up.
He's it's Proform. Is that it? Is that right?
I'm not sure.
I forget the company name, but anyway, Andy Frisella, look him up. He's got some books out. Just awesome. And when it comes to the meal prep, that's amazing. So does Kevin do the meal prep for you?
He does. Yeah. Okay. So that was one of the things that he took over.
That be on the weekends?
Yeah. So I used to do it every Sunday afternoon, and I would just make it would be like 2 or 3 hours of cooking. I'd throw a whole bunch of stuff in the oven, like some sweet potatoes and whatever, throw it in the oven, let it cook, throw a bunch of stuff in the crock pot, let it cook. Just, do it all in one swing. And then I would get the little boxes on Amazon that were divided and just, pack it all up for the week. So it was in the fridge ready to go. I also get Premier protein shakes that are like that I can grab and go from the fridge, and Premier protein bars, in the event that I'm on the road and I can't, pull over to eat food. Yeah. So it's just stuff that I can quickly grab. And then I have these Nalgene bottles that are awesome. I have to drink 4 of them a day to make a gallon. So I just have 4 of them, and they're different colors so that I know once I finish one, it's, move on to the next one. But yeah, I try to make everything really easy.
That's awesome. So let's get back to the real estate side of life, right? So 75 homes a year, right? With all the other stuff you got going on, what are some of the weekly goals? And I know they're a mixture of deals, whether it's personal flips, wholesale, and sales. So let's speak to the salesperson. What are some of the goals that you set, and what do you find helps you hit those targets?
Okay, good question. So for me, every month I'm always looking for 20 transactions. Whether or not they actually start rolling or get to closing in the month, it doesn't really matter to me necessarily. Of course, I'm trying to push them along so they do, but I am looking for 20 deals every month.
So to me, that means you have a pipeline, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a pipeline, rolling pipeline that says I need 20 clients buying or selling at any point in time. And every month you lose 5 deals to closings, you're down to 15. Is that what that means?
Yeah. And I mean, usually it's more, obviously more closings than the 5, hopefully, at least that's the plan. But I'm always, I'm looking for 20 deals every month, like whether it's somebody that wants to list in a week or, sell in a month. Somebody that wants to sell me their house so I can flip it, whatever. Like I am trying to produce 20 deals a month. And so 10 might close, 5 might close, 15 might close. I don't know. And if they don't, well, then they would carry over to the next month. But that's always my goal, is to start the ball rolling at least on 20 different deals a month. So
that's awesome. So what are your favorite, what do you find as a realtor, right? Because I like to hear different people's favorite parts. Are you a cold caller? Are you a belly to belly person where you're going out and meeting people? Do you buy leads? What do you find to be the best for your business?
So I probably am better at belly to belly. I feel like because I've been in the industry for such a long time, I have a pretty good following of people and past clients. Most of my past clients come back to me to relist or whatever. So I feel like the majority of my sales are through circle of influence. And of course, like I'm always having fun posting stuff about health. And it's like, so a lot of the conversations that I end up having, they might start about, me working out, but eventually when people are looking for a house, then they end up coming to me. So that's the majority of it. But because I'm always trying to find these off-market deals to wholesale or to flip, I also have a cold caller that is cold calling all the time. Like she's messaging me right now because she just calls all day long from 8 to about 4. And so she's always looking for the deals. So then she'll find somebody that's either interested in selling their house. Maybe it's something that I'll end up flipping. And sometimes I even list them. It just depends. Every single situation is unique. And so when these people come in, I try to talk to them, but I try to come from a place of contribution, because you can very easily get into this mindset of, oh, how much money can I make off this person? And you can really kind of go down, not a great path with that but so if you just come from contribution with every single call that you make, then I might be able to wholesale this one, or maybe this particular person really needs somebody to list it, or sometimes it might be like, say, an elderly person that needs some repairs on their house, and I'll do the repairs and list their house so they can get the most out of their house. So every situation is different. And I just try to help each person with their scenario. And then, that comes off, like people see that and they come to me for help because they know that I'm genuinely wanting to do the best thing for them and not just for me.
That's what I tell, I just spoke at an investor meeting, and they, I said, look, guys, you just got to come at this, because they were doing the wholesaling and the flipping and the private deals. And I said, I personally don't do them, but I said, you guys just got to help the consumer. If a consumer calls me, I show them plain and simple. You can make more money doing it this way. It typically, a lot of times it's listing the house. But if you don't want to be bothered with realtors and the whole process of that, here's what you probably will make. And, what's more important to you, money or the, not having people trample through your home and all that. And if they pick the other one, then that might make sense. But coming at it from, the mindset of you want to help the consumer, right? Not I need to make every nickel, and because then you're just going to be out of the business quicker than you got into it. So,
so true.
All right, so let's talk about you. You've been a realtor. How many years is it now?
Almost 13 years.
13
yeah.
years.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your broker experience and where did you end up? What do you like most about where you're with us at Real? So where were you? What do you like most about where you're at today?
Okay, so I started out at Keller Williams like many, many agents do because they have so much training opportunity. And I was there for probably 7 years. And I even was an assistant team leader at one point there. And I was able to train agents, which is actually really fun for me. I like that. But then, office politics, overall, I'd say that Keller Williams as a corporation has really good standards. But I think on the more local levels, it depends on who's running them. So just a lot of politics, decided that wasn't for me and kind of moved on to a smaller brokerage to help a friend open a brokerage there. And then a group of higher end agents opened another brokerage and kind of, took off. So they left all these different brokerages. They left Keller Williams and EXP, and it was a bunch of higher producing agents, and they opened the last firm that I was at. So I really, really loved working there because it was a lot of high producing agents, but it wasn't just about them being high producing agents. They were also very entrepreneur minded. And so I was around a lot of people and got to kind of feed off of some of that for a while. And then of course it was a boutique brokerage. So eventually I hit a ceiling in regards to like the opportunity to have a team and to take on agents and, that kind of thing. So then I recently moved over to Real I guess in October of 21. Yeah. Okay. And so I have been with Real ever since. And I guess.
So let's talk about that real quick for because you were at a company, Keller has their split, which is pretty much across the nation, split and cap model. Boutiques typically have a version of that, right? Where it's a split and a cap, maybe no monthly cost. So to go through two boutiques, being around entrepreneurs, like-minded people, looking for other opportunities and ways to maybe retire or have an exit strategy. And then now you see Real. What put your eyes on Real and said, hey, this might be the way of the future and I should be a part of this? What triggered in your mind to say, this might be better for me and my business?
So I was really growing and got to the point where I just had too many leads for even me to call, and I still do. But so then when I tried to start recruiting agents, well, being it was a boutique firm, obviously they wanted a little more control over who and how much, the splits would be with them and stuff like that. And of course, being a boutique brokerage, the splits were going to be higher and the caps were going to be higher and things like that. But then looking at Real, it was just an easy no-brainer type situation because I have all the opportunity in the world. There's no holding back, I guess, necessarily on who I can choose. I can choose to run my business the way that I want to run my business without any control over it. Because it's my business. Like, that's concerning to me. If anybody wants control over that, that's scary. That's not a good position to be in. But with Real, I feel like I have all the, all possibilities there. But also the fact that I could even recruit across the nation if I wanted to. Yeah. So I'm not just stuck here in Louisiana. I can, if I want somebody on my team from Florida, that's okay. That can all work out. So it just really opened up the opportunity for me. It really expanded my horizons and expanded my world. And through COVID, we all saw the world changing very quickly with everybody getting online, everybody doing things through Zoom. So, it's like I joined a mastermind, which, is I guess the head of it is located in Utah. And these people have become my friends and my family, essentially, and just amazing people to be around. Well, I don't necessarily have that here locally, but because of technology, we're in a position now where we can do that. We can work with people all the way across the country, just as if they were next door. And there's no, it's not skipping a beat at all. So it really just opened the doors. And of course, the commission splits are so low because it's a, more of a virtual brokerage and there's no overhead necessarily. And then the splits, the caps are incredible. So if I want to hire or
share it,
a team member,
tell everybody that's watching, what's the split and cap?
So for me, the split to the brokerage is 15%, which is the lowest that I've ever experienced myself. And then the cap is only $12,000. And then if I take on a team member, again, the split to real is only 15%. And their cap is only $6,000. So it definitely makes it a lot more appealing if a team member was going to join with me and pay me a percentage of commission for, training them and teaching them and giving them leads than somebody who has to, say give 50-50 and then a whole nother chunk to the brokerage too. That's hard. That's really hard financially.
Yeah, it's very team friendly in this model, and everybody in real estate understands what we're talking about. So, basically you're on two splits as a team member, and you don't want to end up, netting less than half your commission check, and that's what hurts at some brokerages. Some brokerages are very team friendly, some aren't. But at the end of the day, I tell everybody, just calculate the dollar figure and you'll find the percentage. And then the opportunities, for growth here, I see what you see, where you can scale and you can expand your team to other states around you if you had that vision. In New Jersey, we're like about 3.5, 4 hours in length, right, from top to bottom. I could use the MLS in North Jersey and the Shore Points just because my brokerage has access to all of it. So I can sell anywhere in the state now versus, when I spent a long time at Remax and the broker only joined the ones that he wanted. And then, they got to worry about the costs, right? Because they're calculating overhead. But companies like this have agents across the state, so they just unlock the whole thing. And I'm next to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, so I'm dual licensed, all one cost. And then the opportunities, right? And the opportunities that I see, and tell me what hit you, but the opportunity of building, they pay revenue share if you happen to help the company grow. And then they have stock, an award, they have stock awards and then a stock purchase plan where they'll bonus you on your purchases. And what did you think about that compared to where you were previously?
So none of that was an option previously. Yeah. But now, it's like I just have a certain amount pulling out every check to go in, into buying stock, which is really cool because it's, people don't, it's just like this 75 hard thing and working out so many times every day and how much it's changed my life drastically. It's like just putting a little bit into the pot every time you put a check, close a deal, whatever. And then I go back and check it every once in a while. I'm like, holy cow, look at me. I'm adulting. I have stock, you know? And like, whereas before I wasn't really doing that on a consistent basis. And that, and then it's like, I'm learning from people in these mastermind groups that are in real, that are all across the country. I'm learning things that I've never learned before because I haven't been around it. The people like that haven't been near me. But even my finances are in order. Like, I have a retirement account. I have life insurance. And I know that seems so silly to some people, but real estate agents are probably the worst because, it's like you spend your paycheck on everything else, but the things that matter in the long term. And it's like all these things are now in place for me. So all of it is making a difference. Every single part of everything that I'm learning from everybody in this business, in real, in the mastermind groups that I'm in, it's amazing. It's really been amazing.
Yeah. And that's how we're connected, right? Like we met through our mastermind group and that's what I love about masterminds, but that's an investment that we choose to make ourselves, and I suggest all agents get training, get a coach, learn about masterminds, learn about, pushing yourselves into higher producing rooms because it will only help your business. But back to the brokerage thing, what I tell everybody on comparing, I spent 17 years at a brokerage, left with my book of business, and then when you look at this model and you spent 12 years, 13 years almost in a brokerage, left, and just tell me what you left with, if you left with anything.
Well, I mean, physically or like technically nothing other than just
right?
the
No
experience.
Stock, no retirement,
No, zero.
downline or whatever you want to call it, residual income. So, and in this model, in a short period of time, I've had a lot of agents join me here, and that's paying a residual amount every month. And the stock, especially 70 transactions. I mean, you're talking, you probably have thousands of shares of stock. And that's what I see the opportunity here. Is that what you saw too? The additional layers of opportunity?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, like with the stock, for instance, my plan is kind of just to let it grow. And then if I have an opportunity to buy like a piece of real estate, as a rental property or an Airbnb or whatever, then I've got a little down payment kind of tucked away, Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're coming to the end here. So super successful, super productive realtor. What other tips do you want to share with the public here on how to get more from their weeks?
Well, let's see. So I wrote a bunch of amazing things down on paper, but I think we covered a lot of it. Another little tip that I have for people is to try to double dip when you can. This is something really fun that I figured out last week when I was doing 75 hard. So my outside workouts, it doesn't matter what you do. You can do anything you want just as long as it's outside. Most of the time I would walk, or I would like jog and walk, whatever, because 45 minutes is a long time to do that. But last week I had a pile of stuff, and I mean a huge pile of stuff on my back porch that all kind of needed to go to Goodwill or something. And it was driving me crazy. So I'm like, you know what? Today I'm going to make my outside workout just bringing all that stuff to the road. And we live on probably like a half an acre. So going from the back of the house all the way to the front, back and forth for 45 minutes, carrying heavy things was an amazing workout. So then I was like, aha, I'm going to do this all the freaking time. So my outside workouts are now working in my backyard. And so we have this big, I guess probably in the 1970s, it was some awesome pool house. Now it's just a shed full of junk. But I've been cleaning this sucker out for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I've filled 2 dumpsters already. I had a dumpster delivered, and I filled 2, and I'm about to get a 3rd one. And I am just like, my backyard looks amazing. But so I guess it's like double dip, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Like I'll take my daughter to ballet, and she'll be in the ballet class, and I'll sit there and use that as my time to read my 10 pages of my book. Whatever, wherever you can find those times that you can double dip and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I absolutely recommend that. And I would say if you can outsource as much as possible, I'm talking about if you need to outsource your meal prepping, like there's meal prepping services that'll send food to you. I don't shop, either Kevin shops or I use Shipped. So the groceries come to me.
Share that information, because we were away and you had your meals coming to the hotel, right?
Yes, I did. So Shipped, SHIPT.com, and I can drop a link later. But it is a grocery service. So wherever you are, you pop in your zip code, it'll bring up some of the surrounding stores, even like an Office Depot. And somebody will go do your shopping for you. You just choose what you want. They'll go do your shopping for you and they'll deliver it to you. So even when we were at our mastermind in Florida, I needed to make sure that I was still following a meal plan. So I had groceries delivered so that I wouldn't eat restaurant food. And it was, I don't know what the charge is. I tip them like $5-10 or whatever. But to me, it's worth it, because if I make one more phone call that gets me a deal in the amount of time that I would have wasted in a grocery store trying to run around and find all the stuff I need, maybe not find half of it, have to go somewhere else. Like I don't do that anymore, because it's not a money making thing for me. So I outsource that. There's Hamper. Hamper is a laundry service, so if you don't want to do your laundry, you just send your laundry away. It'll come back folded in a day. It's pretty cool. So I would say use as many of those as you can. I use Amazon a lot, that's also really cool.
Especially if you're commission employee or commission independent contractors, whatever, when you're getting paid by a skilled trade and you have to stop that to do laundry, to go food shopping, like that's what I'm hearing from you, right? Because it's resonating with me. If you're on a W-2, yeah, you got to do your normal, daily activities, and that may not force you to make more money, but it may force more time in your life to spend with your family and other things like that. So go ahead, keep going.
Exactly. Exactly that. And I think that even W-2 people can do it, although they're more on a fixed income, but maybe it'll give them some opportunity to do that side job that they always wanted to do. And real estate in general is such an awesome career, especially for a mom of 5 kids. I knew coming in that if I had 5 kids and I would go try to get a job, I was going to be fired immediately. I'd be fired the first week. Somebody would throw up at school. Somebody would get in a fight. I'd have to come pick them up. I'd be fired immediately first week. But the idea of having, a self-employed type job, especially real estate, where the possibilities are endless for the amount of income you can make, it just allows for all these things that we want in our life, like all these goals that we want to accomplish, to be possible because we're able to do what we want with our schedule. We can do whatever we want. But after accomplishing so much in the last 2 years and even doing 75 hard, I realized that we as humans are far more capable, both physically and mentally, to do absolutely anything that we want to than we choose to believe that we can. And that's the biggest takeaway that I've had over the last 2 years.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, I'm going to cut it there because that's a great ending. So we don't have to give any more tips. Everybody watch the replay. I mean, you're going to go back to the beginning where she shared everything that she does from the start. Teresa, I appreciate it. I appreciate meeting you, sharing your knowledge here with everybody that's watching. I'm happy to be in business, aligned with you in business and in that mastermind together. So if I could ever do anything for you, please let me know, and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. And I've even learned so much about you too that I didn't know. You're amazing.
Appreciate that. Well, everybody, we'll see you again.
Bye.